Hey guys, today we are going to learn about triangles. All right, so our objective is to classify triangles by side and angle. And this is page 56. All right, well first of all, we can classify or name triangles based on the angles that are in the triangle. So all triangles have three angles, just like they have three sides. So our first type of triangle is called an acute triangle. And what this means is that it has three acute angles that form the triangle. So this would be 3. Okay, the next one is a right triangle. Well, if it's a right triangle, that means it has a 90-degree angle. So then the other two angles would be acute. So it only has one right angle. And I know it can only have one because if it had two, 90 plus another 90, that's 180 degrees, and that would already not make a triangle. All right, then we have obtuse triangle. An obtuse triangle has right here an obtuse angle. And then you can see the other two are also acute. So this is one obtuse angle. So notice all three types of triangles have two acute angles. The only really defining factor is that third angle. So if the third one's acute, it's acute. If the third one's a right, it's a right triangle. If the third one's obtuse, it's an obtuse triangle. All right. Now, you can also classify triangles by the lengths of their sides. So right here, this is called a scalene triangle, and these markings tell you that all of these sides are different lengths. So it has 0 equal sides. Now, since it has all different side lengths, it's also going to have all different angles. Okay, now the second type of triangle is called isosceles. And isosceles means you have two sides that are the same. You can see these markings, it's the same marking showing that these two sides are the same length. And guess what? If you have two sides that are the same length, you'll also have two angles that are equal. And then the last type of triangle is called equilateral triangle. And notice the marking is the same on all three sides because all three sides are equal. So it has 3 equal sides, which means if all the sides are equal, all the angles are equal. And also you can remember this because equal sounds a lot like equilateral, okay? And lateral really means side. Okay, now the last part of this is the sum of a triangle's angles. Now triangles are neat in that no matter what type of triangle I have, the angles are always going to add up to the same total or the same sum. And that sum is 180 degrees. All right, so I can use this, the fact that I know the total, to find a missing angle. Now let's look at this triangle. Well, I've got one angle marked as 42 degrees. I've got another angle with this little box right here, and then I have the third angle as X. Well, I should know that this symbol right here means it's 90-degree angle. So that means I've got two angles and I'm missing one. Well, I know what the total is. So what I can do is I can add the two angles I know. So 90 and 42, because this one is 90. So that'd be 2, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So that's 132 degrees. Now, I know that all three will add up to 180. So I can just take 180 and 132 and I subtract them, and that will tell me what the last angle has to be. Now, I already know it has to be acute, so if I get something over 90, I know I made a mistake. So 180 minus 132. Make sure you're just being careful when you're subtracting and borrowing when necessary. So 8 would turn into a 7, 10 minus 2 is 8, 7 minus 3 is 4, and 1 minus 1 is 0. So that means that X is equal to 48 degrees. Now let's name this triangle. Well, I know it has a right angle, so automatically I know it's a right triangle. But I can name a triangle by its angles and by its sides. So it's a right triangle, and then looking at the side lengths, all three sides look like they're different lengths, so it's right scalene. Okay, now let's look at the next one. So I know that this angle is 34 degrees, and I know I'm trying to find this one, and I don't have what that one is. But these have the same marking, which tell me that these two angles are equivalent. Well, I know the total is 180, so the first thing I'm going to do is take away the degrees I already have accounted for. So let's do 180 minus 34. Borrow, that'd be 6. 7 minus 3 is 4, and that's 1. So 146, that's how many degrees I have left over for these two angles. Well, since they are equivalent, they're the same angle, so I can just take this and divide by 2. So 146 divided by 2, that would go in 7 times, which is 14, and 2 goes into 6 3 times, which is 6. All right, let's see if that makes sense. Well, it's less than 90, so that's good because it looks like it's acute. And about 73 seems reasonable. So x is equal to 73 degrees. And let's name this triangle. First, let's name it based off our angles. Well, these are acute and this is acute, or all three are acute, so it's an acute. And then I also have to look based on the side lengths. Well, these two sides are the same length since these two angles are the same length. And that one's different, so if I have two sides the same, that would be called isosceles. So it's an acute isosceles triangle. All right, and last one. All right, so on this one, I don't have any of the angle measures, but I do know that I'm trying to find x, and I do have all three angles marked as the same thing. Well, if all three of these are equivalent and the total is 180, how could I find what just one is? Divide by 3. So 3 goes into 18 6 times, which is 18. Bring down the 0, 3 goes into 0, 0 times. So that means x is 60 degrees. Also, I told you right here. Okay, and let's name this. Well, based on the angles, I see all three are acute, so this is acute. And all three sides are the same because all three angles are the same, so it's equilateral. Equilateral. Okay? Another word you might see used to describe this would be equiangular. So equilateral means equal sides, equiangular means equal angles. And any equilateral triangle will have equal angles, so you could say either way. All right, well there you go. Make sure you can identify triangles based on their angles, based on their sides, and make sure you can use this 180 degrees to find any missing angles. You will be responsible for memorizing this number. All right, well thanks for watching and keep practicing.